Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the very quick, very merry Patch 3.5 digest. So we finally have the patch notes for the Far Edge of Fate, and I figured I would go through and pick out some of the new features that we have listed in the patch notes that we had not otherwise heard of yet. So this video is going to exclude the majority of the patch notes that we already knew about. And of course, if you want the full details, I highly recommend you go through and read the entire list for yourself. But if you want just kind of the nitty gritty on some of the new features that are listed in the patch notes that we had not yet heard about, I'm going to do my best to list them all here. So without further ado, let's dive right in. The first thing up here is they have made some adjustments to the boss fates that spawn in the world. So Odin, Behemoth, Coral Regina, the Proto-Ultima set of fates, those have all had their spawn rates increased, and Prey Online's time limit has been increased from 15 to 30 minutes. We have new items and increased drop rates from the Aquapolis, as well as additional rewards to Archaeo Skin, Wyvern Skin, and Dragon Skin maps themselves. We have a pretty decent quality of life change to the menu for Grand Company. So now you can see the ranks are on the left side with all of the different categories up top now. Looks a little sleeker, a little cleaner, a little easier to navigate than the previous menu. For those of you with apartments, you can be happy to know you finally have a delivery Moogle in the apartment lobby. So those of you that wanted either a mailbox or Moogle, you now have one. Of course, we got new furnishings and new crops, so that's kind of a given. New appearances for your NPCs in your house, so like your supplier, your junkmonger, your mender, you can make them look nice and pretty now instead of wearing, grungy looking level 1 equipment. There is, of course, new fishes for your aquarium, as well as new aquarium interior items, so you can decorate the inside of your aquarium with some new stuff. They made some really major changes to the Triple Triad tournaments in the Gold Saucer. Now, if you want to participate in a tournament, you have to be in the battle hall, and you have to register with an NPC inside of the battle hall in order to participate in tournament matches. What this means is you're going to be randomly paired up with people who are also registering for that tournament on your data center. And this is a great change, because what this means is players can no longer win trade with their friends unless they're really lucky and they keep getting matched up with people, matched up with their friends. But you're going to have to play with random players. So this will really cut down on the win trading. That's a great thing for the tournaments if you really enjoy the competitiveness of Triple Triad. And then, of course, they've also reduced the number of matches in tournaments from 50, 45, 40, and 35 all the way down to 20 across the board, so only 20 matches per tournament. And they've also added some new items for placements in said tournaments. There is, of course, new Triple Triad cards to obtain, and they've also increased the MGP for turning in Triple Triad cards by a pretty significant amount. So, for example, 1-star cards went from 5 MGP to 100. 5 stars went from 600 to 1.5k. So that's just, a little bit more MGP coming in from those extra cards that you get that you don't need. They've made minor changes to the Wondrous Tales. Now for the Palace of the Dead option, completing any set of floors will complete it instead of it being a specific set of floors. Same thing for Frontlines. If you do any frontline campaign, you will complete that section, and they've also added a section for Alexander the Creator. This isn't necessarily new, but the picture is we got a shot of Phase 2 Zervan and his arena. I figured that I'd include that here. We also have the item level requirement for Extreme, which is going to be item level 250. The drop rates for the Warring Lanner and the Dark Lanner, as well as the Sophic Lanner, have been increased. You can also now purchase the Sephiroth Bird and the Nidhogg Bird with their respective totems. So that's going to make getting those birds a lot easier and help you on your way to obtaining that sexy new Suzaku. Kind of looks like Suzaku. I'm pretty sure it's going to be Suzaku, but we don't have a name yet, as far as I know. The lockout on Alexander normal equipment is being removed. However, the Savage lockout is still in place. However, that will likely be removed in patch 3.55, much like the Final Coil lockout was removed in patch 2.55. We, of course, have the adjustments to Frontlines, where now you will be able to join as a freelancer. You no longer have to queue up with your grand company, though that's not necessarily new. What is new here is they are increasing the amount of wolf marks you get for doing Frontlines. First place is now 1,000, second is 750, and third place is 500. They've also increased the wolf marks from the duty roulette for Frontlines from 600 to 1,000. So overall, it's going to be a lot easier to get wolf marks. They did the same thing for Feast, so a win is 500 and a loss is 250 now. And we have the Garo item level 235 PvP gear, and the amount of marks needed for older PvP gear has been reduced. So altogether, it's going to be a lot easier to get wolf marks and some of the PvP gear. They've also made adjustments to duels. Now you can item sync to either 150, or you can sync to the lowest item level between two people dueling. So for example, here you have a 250 Dark Knight and a 209 Dragoon. If you do the sync to lowest item level, it's going to sync to the 209 Dragoon. So that's going to make dueling a little bit more fair and balanced. That's really cool. This is an awesome change that I did not see coming. They had said, they did not make the Alexander Savage gear dyeable because they made it look unique and they didn't have the time to make it dyeable. Well, guess what? You can now dye the Alexander Savage equipment. That is going to make a lot of people happy. I know it makes me very happy. We have a new Hunt Mark log, a legendary clan mark log for 500 Centurio seals. These will likely be able to be exchanged for upgrade items for scriptures equipment, and there's also going to be new tradable items from Britannia. Personally, I think this is going to be the new chair mount that we have, kind of like how we got the Wyvern mount, but that's pure speculation. This is a really neat change. So players who consume food and then consume another piece of equivalent food will have their duration extended up to 2 times the duration of the original piece of food. So for example, let's say you eat a piece of food and it goes down to 5 minutes. If you eat another piece of food, the same piece of food on top of that, it will increase the duration to the full duration of that piece of food plus the 5 minutes you had left on the last one. If you ate 2 pieces of food back to back, you would just flat out double the duration of your food. So this is a really nice change. You don't have to wait for your food to fall off and then re-up and risk wasting a couple of minutes on your food or whatever. But do note that you do have to use this exact same type of food, even the quality. So if you use an HQ piece of food, if you want to double back up, you must use another piece of HQ food. You can't mix HQ and NQ, and you can't mix different types of food. We, of course, have new Chocobo Barding and new mounts. That's the chair mount I was talking about, and then that is very obviously the Zervan Barding. New minions, of course, and new achievement items. What this makes me believe is that the glowing Disciple of Hand main tools that we saw are going to be the new luminary weapons. Well, luminary tools, whatever you want to call them. They've made an adjustment to the way the duty finder looks. I really like this new layout. You're not going to have to click open the window and it's going to show all this different stuff in this window. Now, when you queue up for a duty finder, it will just show all the things you are queued for, as well as how many people are, currently in your party, time elapsed, and the average wait time all together in one nice little section. That looks really, really sleek. I'm very, very happy about that. There's a new text auto advance function. So for example, in cutscenes, if you want text to advance automatically at a set pace, you can set that and you won't have to click through the text individually. They've made major changes to the fitting room window. Really awesome changes. So what they did here is the fitting room now has basically an inventory interface. And so you can equip items individually to each of their slots. And what this means is you can also remove items individually. So let's say you put on this full Maiden set right here, but you want to take off just the body. You can right click on the body and remove it from your outfit. And that will get rid of the body, but keep the rest of the pieces you have in there. And then you can put on another piece, in replace of that, and you won't have to completely redo, your preview or whatever. And on top of this, you can also enable dye previews. So if you try on, say, for example, someone's Alexander Savage tank coat, you can now preview the dyes that can now be applied to that without having to have the body for yourself. So this is a really awesome change for people who really like glamour, and it will give you a chance to really preview stuff before you actually have it. There are new hotbar layouts. So if you like to have, a different setup, you won't have to customize it yourself by putting, mixing and matching all the different bars. We're going to have 12x1, 6x2, 4x3, 3x4, 2x6, and 1x12. And last but not least, you can now turn off flying text for other players. I think that's a really nice change. So if you want just your numbers popping up on an enemy, you can get rid of everybody else's. So that's a great little quality of life change there, and I'm really happy they added that as well. Altogether, looking like a pretty solid patch. Keep in mind this is patch 3.5. 3.55 is going to carry the other half of this patch's content. So there's a lot more to come still in a couple weeks down the road. But for now, we have a lot to look forward to, whether it is the new 24-man, Zervan, the rest of the story. Personally, I'm really looking forward to Frontlines and the new Garo stuff, but we will wrap this video up here. Thank you so much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you have a great rest of your day. If you've made it this far, I'm going to give you a little treat. How to Paladin is just about finished. I plan on putting in some overtime this weekend, working all day Saturday and Sunday to try and get it finished by Monday. I cannot promise anything. I don't know what's going to happen this weekend, if anything's going to come up that's going to prevent me from actually finishing it, but I am going to do my best to get it out very soon. So please look forward to that. How to Paladin is finally a thing. And then on top of that, I have a few episodes of Merri shorts that will be coming out relatively shortly after. So we have a new slew of machinima content coming your way. Please look forward to it, and I will see you guys in the next video.